appreciate you guys coming. I thought with everything that's been happening and over the last couple of days, it was good for us to get out and try to be as transparent as possible to let the community know where things stand. So let's back up just a little bit to kind of set the stage as to how we got where we are. I received a call from Wesley Bell around noon on Saturday, and Wesley had just been made aware of a video that was posted on social media, and the Florissant police chief was the one who notified Wesley. He found out about it, he meaning the chief, again that morning. Right now, St. Louis County, well, let me back up a little bit. There was reason to believe that one of the witnesses to what occurred was related to a staffer at Wesley Bell's office. So for that reason, their policy is to seek a special prosecutor, and we serve a special prosecutor for his office all the time on a routine basis. So this was no different. St. Louis County PD was asked to step in and investigate the crime, and that's what they're doing right now. I can understand there's frustration that there doesn't seem to be any forward progress, and I want to address that directly today. So what we know is that there were 3 individuals in a car, and that car was stopped by the members of the Florissant Police Department in an unmarked SUV. The reason for the stop was the reports of shot fired from a vehicle that seemed to match the description of this vehicle. The officers initiated the traffic stop. The occupants of the vehicle then exited and began to run in different directions. 2 of the officers, who were the passengers, pursued 2 suspects on foot, while the 3rd officer, who was the driver, pursued the 3rd suspect in his SUV. I've seen the video that you've seen. It's just a few small seconds of what was probably a much longer time period. What I saw is shocking and disturbing, but that's all I know right now. There's a lot more to it that we need to know before we can get to the bottom of it and know what the truth is. More specifically, as I said, there were 3 individuals who were in the car that were stopped, 3 individuals who fled. We know their identities. We know where their residence is located, but we can't reach them. They have not returned calls from police. Officers have gone to their homes asking family members if they can assist in trying to get them to come forward. As I speak to you right now, none of the 3 of those individuals have come forward to give their story to the detectives. That's a huge piece of the puzzle that until we have those pieces, it's going to be difficult to get to the truth in this matter. So. So at this point, I am urging anybody who may know these 3 individuals to encourage them to come forward, contact St. Louis County Police Department, who is heading up this investigation. Their story is vital to the rest of this story, and we need to get to the bottom of this because right now we just don't know what happened. I guess I'll just wrap it up and then entertain questions for a few moments. It's not unusual in criminal investigations. In fact, it's more common than not that the investigation takes place, it's completed before an arrest is made. There are obviously occasions where arrests are made and charging decisions while the person is in custody. Those are typically situations where there's a danger to a victim or danger to the community at large. We know in this case, law enforcement wasn't even aware of this incident until just over 48 hours ago. So they are very much in the early pieces of their investigation. They had to go back 4 days in time and recreate what happened because, as has been reported, the officers involved in the automobile situation, they did not report that that's what happened. So again, the chief in Florissant would have been made aware of this had they followed their proper procedures and protocol in reporting this incident. They did not. As a result, we come to find out about it this way. So I just implore anybody who knows the identity of these 3 individuals, for their own privacy's sake, we don't ever name victims or witnesses or potential victims, so we're not going to do that in this case, nor are we going to name any potential suspects as well. But if you are one of those 3 individuals, you know who you are, and we want to hear from you. So with that, I'll entertain some questions.
So when you say the 3 individuals, you're including the person who was struck by the SUV?
Correct.
That person has not been interviewed?
That's right.
And you don't know their whereabouts at this time?
That is right. Yes.
What about the officers, the other two that were on foot, and including the officer, the main officer in question? Have they been interviewed?
Yeah, so that's a good question. Obviously, we know who those officers are. The detective in charge of this investigation is, he wants to speak with the witnesses / potential victims before he interviews the police officers, and that's a standard protocol in a case like this.
Did they give an initial statement, though, at all, or what did they put in their police reports about what happened?
I have not seen the reports yet, so I can't comment on that. All I know is that they did not follow the proper department protocol in reporting a use of force incident like this, and that's why we didn't find out about it.
So just to be clear, Tim, the man that we saw in the video who was being roughed up and handcuffed, he was not arrested, he was let go?
Yeah, my understanding is he was arrested, charged with resisting arrest and another municipal offense. I believe it was paraphernalia, possession of paraphernalia, but they were released on summonses, which is typical in a misdemeanor
So you know
case.
his identity, but not his whereabouts is the question?
That's right. We know exactly who they are, we just don't know where they are.
All right, in a case like this where a person being pursued is struck by a police vehicle, what elements have to be present for that to be more than an accident?
Well, it's circumstance specific. I mean, again, all I know is about a 20-second video clip, what I saw. What I saw is not standard police work, is not acceptable police work, and it's shocking. I don't know what happened before the video started. I don't know what happened immediately after. Those are things I need to find out before we can really move forward on this.
But I mean, if an officer were to say, I was trying to corral him and I brushed him against the side, or he was struck in front, are there any areas of a scenario like that that are more chargeable than another?
You mean chargeable from my standpoint, charging the officer?
Yes.
Again, hard to answer that with generalities, but I can say the only instance that, as far as I'm concerned, where an officer is justified in using potentially deadly force by use of a motor vehicle is if that officer's life or physical health or that of another is in question. That's the only time you're authorized to use lethal force. This is potentially lethal force. So again, we got to find out more what happened so we know what happened.
How quickly will you move forward with the investigation? The Clergy Coalition held a news conference today concerned that what happened in Minneapolis with the protest will happen here if we don't move quickly.
Yeah, that's the reason we're doing this press conference today, because I want to speak out to folks and let them know we are actively engaged in this process and have been since midday Saturday. Time is of the essence. It always would be in any case, but we need to acknowledge what we're dealing with today, not just here locally, but across the country. That puts some expediency on this, and we got to get a resolution. People deserve that. So again, we need cooperation of those three witnesses to help us move forward, because if we don't get that, we find ourselves at a standstill.
You said the individual has been charged with resisting?
Yes.
Are you handling that prosecution?
I believe that was a municipal ordinance violation for the city of Florissant.
Do you have a name
not
and
mine.
age on him?
I can't share any information
But he's
about
been charged, right?
it. Right. I didn't charge him. Yeah.
Are you there?
other houses, in that neighborhood with ring cameras or surveillance cameras? Have you been able to talk to those residents, see if they have any other angles? And then also, there are a lot of different organizations involved in this. What do you guys think that you're going to be able to bring specifically instead of FBI or Department of Justice on this investigation?
So the first part of your question, there is another ring video or something similar to that detectives are aware of. In fact, they are supposed to have that in their possession later this afternoon. So by the end of the day today, I hope to know more than I know as I stand here right now. My understanding is that video is taken from a vantage point across the street from the other video. So we hope that shows a different angle so we can see a more complete picture. In terms of what our office can bring to this, again, we handle special prosecutor cases all the time for St. Louis County Prosecutor's Office. We're dedicated and diligent just as much as anybody would. Even though we're St. Charles County, that's St. Louis County. This is our home. This is our region. It's St. Louis, and so we care to get to the bottom of this just as much as anybody does.
Is it possible those witnesses can give their testimony via telephone, or do they have to come in?
No, they don't have to. I mean, in person's better, but I think at this point, detectives would just like to make some contact with them and see where it goes.
It appears from the video that there may be a helicopter following. Is that your understanding? And was that a police helicopter? Are you aware? Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, it looks like that. It looks like the spotlight from a helicopter, but again, I've just seen what you've seen.
So going back to whether there's a case here, it seems like if you run over somebody, that's a case. But if this officer comes back and says, I was just trying to corral him and he bumped against the side of the car, is that a case? And I don't know that because the moment of impact is obscured in the video we do have.
That's what we're still trying to work on. That's what we hope this second video is going to help shed some light on. Again, there's so many nuances there, and that may just be a question for a jury if, in fact, we decide to move forward with charges. Again, what I can say is what I've seen so far doesn't look good. It certainly looks like something that is criminal conduct, but until I have a full picture, I can't make that determination.
Will you be reviewing the other officers' actions as well? I mean, when we talked about Minneapolis, is there a statute in Missouri that would deal with aiding and abetting, or is there a statute that would deal with inaction of an officer?
Potentially, and so everything that they had to do with that situation that evening will be examined. They'll be given an opportunity to give their version of events. So we're going to look at everything we can.
Are there any potential elements of misconduct after the car incident when he had him on the ground and I think I kicked him once and then they wrestled around? Did you see anything in there that might raise charges?
Again, without knowing what's in the officer's mind, it's hard to answer that question. I know what it looked like, and it didn't look good. Right now, that's all I can say.
The individual was unarmed.
Correct. He was unarmed.
Did he have a criminal background?
I'm not aware of any at this point, and even if I was, I really couldn't comment on that on the record.
When was the shots fired incident? What time?
It was
Friday night?
Tuesday evening,
Tuesday.
June the 2nd.
Okay.
This was minutes before the traffic stop. I don't know exactly what the time frame was.
Will you be looking at any jurisdictional issues as to whether or not Florissant officers can be in other jurisdictions at that time, or does that not apply necessarily?
I mean, it could become an issue that we have to deal with, but I think under the circumstances, as I understand them now, they were perfectly justified being just outside their jurisdiction in this particular situation.
So the incident wasn't reported immediately. What is the time frame that you would expect for an officer or a detective to report something like that?
If he's got a suspect in custody after that process is completed, he should be giving that report immediately before he clocks out. That didn't happen.
Do we know for sure that those guys fired the shots, or were they just, we don't know yet?
We don't know yet. All we know is that there was a call for shots fired. The vehicle description that was given matched this vehicle, but we also know that there were no weapons found in the vehicle or on any of the three occupants. Now, whether a weapon was discarded, we don't know. That's stuff they're looking into right now.
The other two occupants were not apprehended at all.
They were.
They were.
They were apprehended on foot.
Okay.
Yeah, more of a traditional
Were they
police
charged?
pursuit. Yeah, they all had municipal ordinance violations of various kinds. Okay. Anything else? Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Hope to have an update for you soon.